awesome people. It's good to have you in here today again on a very interesting topic. Difficult boss? No problem. There are strategies for success. Let's take our topic again. Difficult boss? No problems. There are strategies for success. I believe a whole lot of us have experienced different kinds of bosses, have also experienced same different kinds. Some made my work beautiful, some made my work difficult, but the key is, what are the strategies for success when you have a difficult boss? So you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Good people, is your boss making your work life difficult? Is your boss making your work life tough? Are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling frustrated or unsure of how to handle difficult leadership? You're not alone, and help is here. Help is in today's class. You're welcome to today's powerful session. We are going to share proven strategies, proven techniques to not only survive, but to do what? Thrive under challenging management. That means from handling tricky situations to building resilience. This webinar is packed with actionable insights that you can start using right away. This webinar, you're highly welcome. Just hold on. So you're welcome once again. Like we said, our topic affects every professionals. Not just every professionals, every worker. As long as you're working for somebody, you have faced good, difficult, or not difficult boss. I can tell you there are times that maybe who we see as a difficult boss may not be who another person sees as a difficult boss. So we are going to break down today's class. We are going to identify difficult behaviors, and we are going to look at effective communication strategies. We are going to look at resilience and building techniques to actually work with difficult bosses. And then how do we turn these challenges into career opportunities? So before we start, let's start with our mantra. And after that, we'll continue with our class. Please call your friends, call your neighbors. We are starting right away on this interesting topic, difficult boss, no problems, strategies for success. reminder that we are uncommon. You are uncommon. I am uncommon. And we are going to take a mantra by the author of the book Common Sense. That is Thomas Paine. So can we read it together? Awesome people. I do not choose to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon. If I can, I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for a dole. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I'll never cower before any master, nor bend to any traits. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to think and act for myself, to enjoy the benefits of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done. Please, let's take it again. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to think and act for myself, to enjoy the benefits of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done. That's a great one. Awesome people. We are all great. We are all uncommon, and we can do more, and more, always. So let's get back to our interesting topic. Difficult boss, no problem. Strategies for success. Difficult boss, no problem. Strategies for success. You're highly welcome. These are outlined for today. We'll introduce the topic. We'll talk about understanding a difficult boss. What makes a difficult boss? What are the attributes, the characteristics of a difficult boss? Then we'll talk about common types of a difficult boss. Then we'll look at why are some bosses difficult? And then we'll talk about strategies for dealing with a difficult boss. Let me introduce myself once again. My name is Enobong, Ekarika, and I am a workplace strategist. I'm also a speaker with years of experience helping professionals to navigate the challenging work environment. I specialize in providing practical strategies that foster healthier and more productive relationships, between employees and their managers. And I've worked with countless individuals and teams, helping them to overcome overcome difficulties in leadership and management. And today, awesome people, I'm here to share these insights with you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your time. or some people. Like I say, I believe in building better workplaces together. We can build better workplace together. Let's start with this quote by Simon Sinek. He says, leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. Can we take that again? Leadership is not being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. That's the quote by Simon Sinek. Now, who is a difficult boss? How do we define a difficult boss? Now, from our definition, a difficult boss is someone whose management style or behavior consistently creates challenges for their team members. That means someone whose behavior, whose action or inaction actually creates challenges for their team members is a difficult boss. And this can range from poor communications, to unrealistic expectations. And it's often, result in this strained work environment, strained work relationship. That's what makes a difficult boss. Now, let's get to our next topic. Understanding a difficult boss. Let's quickly look at the common types of difficult bosses. The common types of difficult bosses. Number one, we have the micromanagers. This type of bosses constantly control and monitor every aspect of your work, okay, making you feel distrusted and stifling your creativity. They constantly check and try to control every detail of your work, leaving you to feeling frustrated and having those feelings of lack of autonomy. They want to, check on every detail of your job. They'll tell you, go and do A, and they won't allow you concentrate in doing the A. They want to check, oh, have you done it well? Did you click A? You should have clicked like this. You should have done this. Those are micromanagers. Then we have the poor communicators. These people fail to provide clear instructions. They fail to provide feedback or expectation, which will always lead to confusion or misalignment. This type of bosses will assume you can read their minds. Those are not proper attributes of a boss. A boss should be able to communicate properly, should be an excellent communicator. Then another common attribute type of a difficult boss is that is overly critical. Overly critical. They focus excessively on your mistakes, okay, without offering solutions. These are bosses that will make you feel discouraged and unappreciated. They always point out mistakes without providing that constructive feedback that you need. Therefore, it will always cause you to feel undervalued. It will cause you to feel demotivated. Then we have the inconsistent or unpredictable bosses. This kind of bosses frequently change their decisions, or priorities without explanations. And they always leave you unsure of what's expected. These people, by frequently changing their mind, frequently changing their priorities or decisions, they make it difficult to know where you stand or how to succeed. Now let's get to the next slide. Before we get to the next slide, let's quickly look at this quote by an unknown person. He says, sometimes the best way to win a boss over is to deliver your best work and let the results speak for themselves. Sometimes the best way to win a boss over is to deliver your best work and let the result speak for themselves. Now let's continue on understanding a difficult boss. What are the common types of difficult bosses? What makes a person a difficult boss? We have the authoritarian bosses. They always insist on doing things their way, without giving room for collaboration. And this always stifle innovation and stifle independent thinking. They believe they are always right. Then we have the favoritism showing bosses. This kind of bosses treats certain employees more favorably than others. They are biased, okay? And this will always lead to resentment and a sense of unfairness within the work environment. That means that when a boss shows favoritism, he's not a good boss. He's a difficult boss. Then we have the indecisive bosses. The indecisive bosses always struggle. The indecisive bosses always struggle to make or stick to a decision. They always struggle to make a decision, or they struggle to stick to a decision. And this will always cause delays in progress on jobs and will always create frustration amongst employees. Then we have the emotionally unstable bosses. The emotionally unstable bosses. This kind of bosses display unpredictable emotional reactions, such as anger or mood swings, making it hard to communicate or relate with them, or to even trust them. Then let's look at the next slide. Absentee bosses and manipulative bosses. What makes a person an absentee boss? Please put it in the slide, in the chat room, what you understand by an absentee boss. This kind of bosses are rarely available for guidance or decision making, forcing you to work without support or direction. I've had such a boss, and the only time he calls me is when he's under pressure from the management. Maybe he's under strict pressure. You now remember, hey, Enobong, why is this thing not done? I need this thing done now. Please hold on while we connect our internet. All right, good people. Thank you. We have to take a short break for our internet. Okay, let's continue. An absentee boss. An absentee boss, this kind of bosses are not always around. They leave jobs, they just leave you confused. They don't guide you, they don't assist you in any way, and only remember your existence maybe when they're under pressure, or when they have challenges or they need to meet up some timelines. Then we have the manipulative bosses. What makes a manipulative boss? This kind of bosses love to use tactics such as guilt, such as intimidation, such as false promises to control employees and to get results. Now let's get to our next slide. It says sometimes the hardest people to work with are the ones who teach us the most about patience, diplomacy, and perseverance. This is very true. I've experienced this. I think one of my bosses while I was a teacher in a secondary school, in quotes, he was a difficult boss, in quotes. But through him, I've been able to learn a lot about patience, about diplomacy, about even perseverance. Have been able to learn to be consistent in doing an excellent job at all points. That means this quote is very true, that sometimes the hardest people to work with are the ones who teach us the most about patience, diplomacy, and perseverance. Let's get to the next slide. Now, what is the impact on staff? How does having a difficult boss affect staff? It will always lead to increased stress and burnout. Very, very true. Because this constant pressure or lack of support from a difficult boss lead to chronic stress, which can eventually result in burnout. And constantly dealing with a difficult boss, can increase workplace stress. It can increase, that negative effect on our mental health and overall job satisfaction. Lower productivity is another impact of having a difficult boss. Now, when employees are micromanaged or unsupported, they struggle to stay motivated, and all this will result in decreased output. And I can tell you that when this happens, employees will struggle to stay focused and motivated, and this can lead to lower work performance. The other impact is decreased job satisfaction. The staff satisfaction will decrease. The staff satisfaction will decrease. Employees working under difficult bosses, they always feel unfulfilled or dissatisfied with their roles, and this always affect their long-term career. There will be decline in team morale, because a toxic environment where employees don't feel appreciated or supported always leads to a drop in overall morale. And this negative work environment can make employees to feel demoralized and less engaged, leading to higher turnover, higher chances of, resignations and all of that. Then there's lack of growth and development. Those are impact. There will be erosion of trust, because when you have, for instance, unpredictable or manipulative bosses, they make it difficult for employees to trust leadership. This will foster a culture of skepticism and, disengagement. Another impact on employees, number 7, is poor work-life balance. Because this high demand, this constant monitoring, this unclear expectations, it can spill over into the personal time, and disrupting work-life balance of the employees. Then decreased creativity and innovation. That's another impact, negative impact. A controlling or unsupportive boss always stifles creative thinking, and such employees, because the employees will be more focused, on compliance than on exploring new ideas. Then it always has negative impact on our mental health. I believe we are having value. Are we having value? Let's answer this very important question. Why are some bosses difficult? Why are some bosses difficult? That means that there are times that we need to see things from our boss's point of view, and or there are times we will be able to manage them better if we know why some bosses are difficult, if we can understand the root causes of difficult behavior. So let's take it one after the other. Number one is pressures from higher ups. Like I told you earlier, that of my interesting boss who never bothers on what's happening on our job until they are facing pressures from the boss. There are others who just because of the pressures they transfer their aggression. When the management passes pressure on them, they transfer it to you. That's why some bosses are difficult. That means many bosses faces pressure from their own superiors to meet tight deadlines, to achieve targets, or to manage large teams. And this stress can cause them to act rigidly or unfairly towards their team, in an effort to meet these demands. And facing pressure from senior management to meet strict deadlines or high performance expectations, it can cause these bosses, like I said, to transfer aggression on the employee. That's why some bosses are difficult. Another one is lack of management training. Some bosses are promoted based on their technical skills rather than their people management abilities. And without proper training, they will struggle with leadership. You know, they will struggle with leadership tasks like communication, delegation, or conflict resolution. And this will always lead to ineffective management. Now let's look at number three. Number three could be personal issues. As much as you have your personal issues, good people, your bosses may also have personal issues. That means factors such as stress, anxiety, or insecurity in their personal life, can seep into the workplace. This will affect their behavior. That means a boss that is going through difficult personal challenges may unintentionally, check my word, mark my word, good people, unintentionally take it out on their team, take it out on the staff, or become inconsistent in their leadership style. That means personal stress, financial issues, family problems, or even insecurity about their role can make some bosses lash out, transferring this aggression on the innocent staff. Now, another one is insecurity in their roles. Some bosses feel insecure about their position or their abilities, and this can cause them to micromanage you, to want to control their employees in that attempt to do what? To prove their worth or to maintain power. That means fear of losing their jobs or even being seen as incompetent can make bosses to be overly controlling. It can make them overly critical or hesitant, to delegate tasks. And this will always lead to frustration for employees. Let's look at the next other causes of difficult behavior by some bosses. Other causes are unclear organizational expectations. Okay, some bosses can struggle when the company policies are not very clear, they are not clearly spelled out, the job deliverables are not really spelled out. So when they struggle with such, it always leads to confusion, to frustration, to poor decision making, and this will always trickle down to the team. Now, cultural or generational differences. Yes, I know we have the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha, we have the millennials, and depending, when we have differences, you know, cultural, generational differences, it can cause some challenges. You can have differences in cultural values or ethics or generational expectations, it can create friction between a boss and their team. And this will always lead to misunderstanding and ineffective communication. That means different work ethics, cultural norms, or generational gaps between managers and their team can create misunderstandings, leading to friction and strained relationship. Number seven is what? Poor emotional intelligence. That lack of emotional intelligence, okay, or self-awareness can cause some bosses to struggle with empathy. It will cause them to struggle with conflict resolution or even maintaining healthy relationship with their teams. Now let's look at another reason why some bosses are difficult. Another reason is workplace culture and environment, and then inexperience inexperience in leadership. That's another key reason why some bosses are difficult. Now let's look at this interesting quote. This quote says, a good boss is someone who can make you feel important even when you are at your most insignificant. A good boss is someone who can make you feel important even when you are at your most insignificant. I met a manager today, a bank manager, and we were talking about some another organization, a staff in another organization, and I saw the empathy he had for such a staff. That means that even when the staff may feel insignificant, a good boss will always make you feel important. A good boss will make the driver to feel important, will make he will make the driver to feel important, he will make the cleaner, everybody, the junior staff, the senior staff, everybody feels important when they are with them, even at their most insignificant time. Now let's look at why is important to see things from their perspective. Why is it important to see things from their perspective? Now, number one, it will help you to understand their challenges. All right. Now we are looking at why we should also see things from their perspective sometimes. Because we have a lot of people that can complain. Let me say, they can complain for Africa. They always have one complain about their bosses and all of that. But there are times we actually need to see things from their perspective. Number one, when you do that, it will help you to understand their challenges. Number two is that it will, okay, let me explain a bit about understanding their challenges. By acknowledging that your boss is likely dealing with pressures and challenges, that you may not be aware of, can help you, because it will help you approach them with more empathy and patience, and even reducing conflict. Then better communication is very, very important. It will help to improve communication with your boss. Then it will help to also build trust. The next one is managing expectation. By realizing that your boss may lack clear direction, or be under undue pressure, it will help you to adjust your own expectations, which will allow you to find ways to help them manage these pressures and also reduce your own frustration. Then also it will help you to reduce emotional reaction, to help you stop, reduce emotionally reacting to your boss. You'll be more coordinated, or you'll be more focused in relating with your bosses. Then it will also help you to find common ground. Understanding their point of view can reveal areas where your goals align, allowing you to work together more effectively and minimize conflict. Number 7 reason is that it will help to provide constructive feedback. By the time you can see things in from their perspective, you will also be able to give a constructive feedback, and this will always foster a positive outcome. Then it will also help you to anticipate their reactions. When you know the pressures or insecurities your bosses face, what happens? You can better predict how they will react in certain situations, and this will allow you to prepare and respond effectively. Then number 10, it will strengthen your professional skills, because this will force you to practice empathy. It will force you to practice emotional intelligence. It will force you to learn conflict management, and by seeing things from your boss's perspective, it strengthens your leadership skills, it strengthens your interpersonal skills. And by seeing things from their perspective, you can build better strategies for managing relationships. It will help you reduce conflicts and even turn a difficult boss into an ally. Now let's get to the next slide. This is an interesting quote by Tony Gaskin. He says, "You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce." Let's take it again. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, by what you stop, and what you reinforce. Now let's get to the next slide. Strategies for dealing with difficult bosses. What are the strategies? How do we deal with difficult bosses? We are going to look at tip 1. Tip 1 is communicate effectively. To deal with a difficult boss, you should be able to communicate effectively. Now, how do we go about that? Number 1, learn to frame discussions positively. Please learn to avoid misinterpreting your boss. There are times you should also learn to frame discussions positively. Focus on solutions, not the problems. Okay? Then also use positive language while talking, and then find common ground. It will help you to frame discussions positively. Then number 2 is be assertive without being confrontational. That means if your boss, you should be able to set boundaries respectfully. If your boss tends to overstep boundaries or micromanage you, you can politely assert your boundaries by saying, for instance, "I will appreciate more independence in completing this task, as I've done it successfully before." Then you can use the I statement. We are talking about being assertive without being confrontational. Use I statement, very, very important. And 3, stay calm under pressure. Stay calm under pressure. It will help you to be assertive without being confrontational. Number 3, practice active listening. Practice active listening. What do we mean by that? You should listen to understand, not listen to respond. You should listen to understand. That means when you focus on truly understanding what your boss' perspective is before you jump to conclusions or reacting, this shows that you respect, and you also, this shows your respect, and it also helps you to address their concerns more effectively. Then also clarify and confirm understanding. To practice active listening skills, you should always clarify and confirm understanding. After your boss speaks, summarize what they've said to ensure that you're on the same page. For example, just to clarify and just asking, are you asking for a report by Friday? Is that correct? That's an example of practicing active listening skills. Then ask questions. Ask questions. When you ask questions, it shows that you're actively listening. Then acknowledge their point of view. Then additional communication tips are email etiquette. If face-to-face communication is difficult, then written communication can actually help, because in this situation, all you need to do, send an email, make sure you're clear, make sure you're concise and respectful in your emails, and then avoid using emotionally charged language and focus on solutions. Then non-verbal communication. Pay attention to body language, okay? Pay attention to tone of voice, to facial expressions, even if you're saying the right words, because negative non-verbal cues can always send the wrong message. Then know when to agree to disagree. That's very important. Know when to agree to disagree. Sometimes it's necessary to agree to disagree and move on. And in those cases, maintaining respect and professionalism is very, very important because it will help to prevent further conflict. Let's go to our next slide. Number one is communicate effectively. Number two is set boundaries. Set boundaries. We've talked about setting boundaries. Because number one, importance of setting boundaries is that it will help to protect your well-being. Setting boundaries will help to protect your well-being. It will also help to encourage mutual respect and would also help to improve productivity. That is what, these are some major importance of setting healthy boundaries. Then say no without being disrespectful. We've talked about that. How do we do that? Be honest and direct. Offer alternatives. Be firm but polite. Be firm but polite. Then let's see, managing expectations and workloads. How do you do that? Communicate your limits, good people. Be clear about what you can achieve. Try not to ask, to take up more than you can carry. Okay? Then you should also be able to prioritize and negotiate. We are talking about managing expectations and workload. You should be able to prioritize and negotiate. That means that when you're faced with competing demands, competing work demands, ask your boss to help prioritize tasks. This will help. Then schedule check-ins. Regularly update your boss, on your workload and progress to ensure that your expectations remain aligned. And then delegate when possible. Delegate when possible. Now let's look at additional boundary setting tips. Number one is consistency is key. Stick to your boundaries consistently. That means if you give into every request and it becomes harder, so it will become harder to reinforce your boundaries later. That's why it's important to stick to your boundaries consistently. Then know your priorities. Know your priorities. Establish your key responsibilities and stick to them. And by knowing what tasks are most important, you'll be better equipped to decide when and how to say no. Then You should also be able to stay calm and confident. It's very, very important. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, but it's important to remain calm and confident. Okay? By respectfully standing your ground, it shows you're serious about managing your workload effectively. Then anticipate pushback. When setting boundaries, be prepared for pushbacks. Okay? Especially if your boss is not used to hearing no. Remain professional, explain your reasons clearly, and then stick to your stance. Now let's go to strategy number 3. Before then, let's take this quote by Prentice Hemphill. He says, boundaries are a part of self-care. They are healthy, normal, and necessary. Boundaries are part of self-care. They are healthy, normal, and necessary. This is a quote by Prentice Hemphill. Let's get to the next. Now, tip 3, strategy for dealing with a difficult boss is build resilience. Build resilience. How do you build resilience in the workplace? Number 1 is, we said, how to manage stress in a tough work environment. How do you do that? You should be able to practice some stress relief techniques. That means you should be able to incorporate techniques such as deep breathing, such as meditation, such as mindfulness exercises to help you manage stress in high pressure situations. Okay, this can help you to stay calm and clear-headed during challenging interactions with your boss. Then on also managing stress, time management and prioritization. Break your work into smaller manageable tasks. It will help you to reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed. And then take breaks and recharge. Regular breaks throughout the day can prevent burnout. Okay, stepping away from your desk, going for a walk, or simply taking a few minutes to relax can help to clear your mind and recharge your energy, and then maintain a healthy work-life balance. Those are ways to manage stress in a tough work environment. Now let's look at number 2 way of building resilience. Cultivate mental and emotional resilience. How do you do that? You do that by, number 1, develop a growth mindset. Okay? And 2, stay emotionally detached. That means you should avoid taking your boss' difficult behavior personal. In fact, I learned a lot from one of my bosses who was actually a difficult boss. But he's always saying, it's on the job. Whatever happens, it's on the job. Whatever happens, it's on the job. And despite how difficult it was, I worked with that mantra that it's on the job. I made sure I avoided taking my boss's difficult behavior personally. And that really, really helped. Then the next is practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself during stressful times, good people. Remind yourself that it's normal to face difficulties and that you're doing your best under challenging circumstances. Then strengthen your emotional intelligence, good people. It will help to enhance your ability to manage your emotions, because you'll be able to practice empathy, self-regulation. This will help you to remain calm. When you're emotionally intelligent, you'll be able to remain calm, you know, during stressful interactions, and you'll be able to respond appropriately to your boss with a high, you know, with a level-headed approach. And then focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. Then the next one is managing. Please hold on. Find support systems. Find support system. Manage expectations. Find support systems. And then the other things you need, maintain a positive attitude. Maintain, that means by focusing on the positive aspects of your job and your personal growth, it can help you stay motivated, even in a challenging environment. Then reflect and learn from your setbacks. There's an interesting book I would love you to read. It's titled A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback. Read it. Reflect and learn from your setbacks. Then set personal goals and develop problem-solving skills. Develop problem-solving skills. Let's get to our next strategy for dealing with difficult bosses. Adapt and try. Adapt and thrive. Strategy tip 4 for dealing with difficult bosses is adapt and thrive. What do we mean by that? Number one, let's look at, for you to adapt and thrive, you should be able to use difficult situations as a learning experience. That means you should be able to embrace challenges as opportunities. Okay? Learn to embrace challenges as opportunities rather than viewing difficult boss as an obstacle. See it as an opportunity to sharpen your skills. Challenging situations often teach you how to do what? Navigate. It will teach you how to navigate complexity, and it will also help you to handle pressures more effectively. And then it will also help you to learn from the behavior of others. By observing how others, including your difficult boss, handle stress and conflict, it can provide valuable lesson for you too, because you can learn what to do and what not to do in some situations. Then develop a growth-oriented mindset. Shift your perspective from frustration. My boss is frustrating me. No. Shift your perspective, your mindset from frustrations to growth. It will allow you to focus on how these experiences contribute to your personal and professional development. And then reflect on your responses. Very, very important. Reflect. Those are how to use difficult situations as learning experience. Number 2 is skills you can develop under pressure. There are some skills that you actually develop under pressure. Number 1 is problem solving skills. Those are skills you can develop under pressure. When you deal with a difficult boss, it forces you to become a more creative and efficient problem solver. You develop that ability to think quickly, to find alternative solutions, and to also troubleshoot complex situations. So it has helped you to build problem solving skills. Then it also builds your patience and emotional regulation. I think one of the skills I've been able to develop as a marketer due to experience with difficult clients is patience. Wow. Have learned to be patient. Have learned to be patient because of difficult situations, because of working with difficult bosses, difficult clients, even difficult colleagues. Okay, that means working under pressure will always teach you patience and will also help you to manage your emotions effectively. Another skill you will develop is conflict resolution. Handling conflict with your boss will give you that experience to manage difficult conversations professionally. And then time management. A demanding boss will always require you to prioritize tasks, require you to manage your time wisely and multitask efficiently. And these skills will not only help you manage your current workload, but it will also prepare you for a higher responsibilities. Then adaptability. Then number three is turning your challenges. Turning your challenges into opportunities for career growth. Excuse me. This helps you to develop leadership skills. You should be able to turn your challenges into opportunity for career growth. Leadership skills, demonstrating leadership skills. That means navigating a tough situation and maintaining your composure always shows leadership potential. Okay, you can use this experience to demonstrate, to